Hello everybody, I'm Christo, and this is everything we know so far about Grey Eminence, the game being developed by the Nestionars, I'm guessing. I haven't talked to them in person since the announcement, so I don't actually know how you're supposed to pronounce that, but Nestionars for now, who are a subsection of the M&T team, plus a few others, I think, who have founded a video game studio to make a new game which shares certain similarities with Mayo and Taxes, but also has ambitions in some ways to go even further beyond. So, without further ado, let's watch the trailer together, and then we'll go through all of the social channels you can get more information in, all of the screenshots, and we're going to break down the screenshots that we've seen so far. But let's take a look at the trailer. So, here we go.
Behold, the world of our ancestors. A land engulfed in perpetual conflict. Yet, it needn't be that way. Look beyond the world that was, and into the world that could be. Steer its destiny. Become the Grey Eminence.
That is a really good teaser trailer. Let me just say. Let's look at that again. We're going to mute it. We're going to go through it bit by bit. So there's not too much visually to get from this trailer, obviously. We know they're a new company. We know, obviously, and here, this is the image that, I love that they started with this image. Immediately, what's the big difference? What's the huge change? And obviously there's many. But what's one of the huge changes between EU4 and Grey Eminence, between Mayo and Taxes and Grey Eminence? Well, there it is. It's a globe. They put the map on a globe, which is insanely cool. They're gonna go full realism globe, no weird Makeda projection, none of that. Which, and this is a coincidence, but I think it fits rather well, is the equivalent of going from me looking like this to stepping into the light. There you go. And if we take a look at the map here, we can see pretty much they've gone with, it appears, the same kind of borders and things that they that exist in Mayo and Taxes. And what that means is, present on the map are nation states, and gaps on the map, like we can see here, are areas that were basically not really nations at this period in history. Now, we don't know much, so I don't know whether new states will arise, and this is obviously an early map and things like that. But they've not, for example, gone with the Victoria 3 approach of having the difference between centralized and uncentralized nations. And the concept of an uncentralized nation is, in some ways, kind of oxymoronic, which is... so it's cool. I like that they've gone with actual, empty terrain. Of course, it's not empty, but it's empty of states, which is, what this map looks like it's representing. And yeah, so this is the 1356 map, if I'm not mistaken. And here's another thing to note. That right there is a unified Holy Roman Empire. So I have no idea how that's going to work. Feels like that's going to kill balance. And as you can see, 1536, so big Serbian Empire. Not, as in M&T, divided into Serbia and many vassals. Which is an interesting difference to note in terms of the map design. But yeah, big Mali, no surprises there. But this is interesting, and I have to say, being able to see it on a globe is very cool. Now, I don't know if this is their actual map, or if this is just a graphical representation. Looking at it, they'd have to have a big shift in how you zoom in, zoom out, because the screenshots don't look like this. But it's possible that when you zoom out, they add, a cloud layer and stuff. I just don't know. Anything is possible at this stage. So speaking of screenshots, no, actually, first, let's take a look at their dev diary. I'm not going to read this to you in full. There will be a link to it in the description and in the comments of this video. But basically, what they're saying here is, first off, tiny hexagonal tiles are going to make up the map. No more Troy of X or whatever. Tiny hexagonal tiles, which is really interesting. And it means that they're going to be able to have sensible border movements. You don't have to always take like a whole tile and things like that, I imagine. And this is just so exciting. Their basic premise is we've got a big ass performance budget. We can do great things by ascending above the shackles of EU4, its old engine and its modability issues, which is just incredible. And of course, we know the date range, 1356 to 1956. This, and I mean, come on, has to be said, is ambitious. I am very curious how they're going to show, I mean, the main shift is warfare. You know, you go from pitched army battles to frontline warfare in that period. How the heck are they going to represent both pitched army battles and frontline warfare? My suspicion, because they haven't said anything about this, is they may not have armies on the map at all. And we'll see when we learn more about it. But that's my suspicion. We might be looking at a Victoria 3-esque thing. But, as we'll see in some of the screenshots, there are reasons to doubt that, so I don't know. I also love that they have 1 million hexagonal tiles and 12 pentagonal tiles because of mathematical restrictions on trying to map a globe, which I think is quite funny. And yes, each tile has a population number, certain buildings, certain geographical status, the level of production, consumption, trade, climate. Wow. This is just next level stuff. Absolutely insane. At the heart of all these elements is the idea of simulationism. They're going for full simulation. There's no mana, there's no gamey mechanics. It's trying to be a simulation. They have 50 different types of goods. That is insane. They're going to have autocratic monarchies all the way to constitutional republics and communist dictatorships. What the hell? There's so much. I'm really excited. They're also going to do the social. So there's the elites, the noble, clergy, merchants, military as a separate elite. I missed that. And bureaucracy. Okay. Military being thrown in there is really interesting. I imagine that becomes more relevant when the military becomes separate to the nobility. Obviously, historically, those are more or less the same thing at certain points in history and in certain places. Later on, more state military. The military can assert itself as a state apparatus separate from the bureaucracy. That's really interesting. There's also characters. It's not just Mayo and Taxes. It's Mayo and Taxes and Victoria 3 and CK2. There are characters with personalities, histories, ambitions, and fears. You know what? It's Imperial Rome as well. That's insane. That's insane. And here is their user experience pitch, which makes all kinds of sense. What they're saying is, the systems run themselves, the player can intervene. Optional complexity, which makes perfect sense. It's a lot of how M&T currently runs, but this sounds like they're going for even more optional complexity. So systems work on their own. The nobles will build larger tobacco plantations, as the example they use, on their own, but you can step in to make specific changes to get the results you want. Perfect. Perfect. That's so good. And they're building it from the ground up with modability in mind, and they've got this really cool, which I totally don't understand, Unity's data-oriented tech stack, which means that they basically seem to think they have just unbelievable degrees of processing power available to them so that they can have an incredible number of calculations done, which is just so cool. They are, and I'll say this again at the end, but they are very short on cash. They want you to support them on Patreon, and you should. The link to that is in the description. I will look at this again at the end. We'll look at some of the rewards they have available. But yes, they do have a Patreon. They launched like 20 minutes ago or something. They had 6 patrons at 15 at 4. Now they have 100. The number's going up. Good. Let's take a look at some of the screenshots that they have available and see what we can dig into from those. So this is their press kit. I love that they launched with a press kit ready to go with a professional website, job listings, team listings, about section. Really nice launch, guys. Well done, guys and girls. So, first off, Just a couple of nice images. We'll take a look at these. Come on. That is good art. Is this Pel? Did Pel do these? I really like these. But yeah, showing obviously the scale of different ages they're meaning to cover here. We've got exploration, forts, and conquistadors alongside knights. Very nice art style. I like it. I like it. But this is what we're here for. Let's dig into some of these screenshots. Okay, so what we got here is a map of France, and it looks like when you zoom out, it stops showing the hexes, I guess. And then it also, as you can see over here, this doesn't look like a hexed border. So I guess what it does is it kind of plots an average border between the two countries. Or maybe you have varying degrees of control over each hex. God, who knows? So, what do we got on here? We've got, in the bottom right, fairly standard paradoxian looking UI. We've got 5 different speed settings, or maybe 4, with the first one being paused, not sure. We've got map modes, looks like. So we're on the political map mode, there's a terrain map mode, a unrest map mode, I think. Maybe not, could be culture. Some kind of law map mode, religion, population, I'm guessing. And then we have plus signs, which means, I think, that Grey Eminence, along with only EU4 amongst Grand Paradox games, have choose your own map modes to put in the slots. Very cool. Oh, no, sorry. Hoy lets you do that. But that's pretty cool. Being able to choose your own map modes, always a great UI feature. In the bottom left, we have an event queue. Looks kind of CK3-esque. Makes sense. We can see that your heir has died. So there was some kind of dynastic mechanics going on here. That's interesting. We have truces, we have wars. This is all, fairly self-explanatory. At the top here, we can see 3 icons. One, a shield breaking. I bet that's because Navarra has just broken our alliance, or our alliance is at risk of breaking, because maybe these aren't events, maybe these are statuses. The middle one, we're at war with England. The green bar, progress towards victory, perhaps. And on the right, probably you don't have an heir right now. You can see here that Aquitaine appears to be occupying part of France, which is where I come to, maybe they do have armies. Oh, no, sorry, excuse me. I said maybe they're going armies not on the map. I'm wrong. Look in the top right. There are 3 armies that France currently controls. One of 5,000, one of 3,000, one of 3,000 men. Now, it's still possible they don't have a specific location on the map, that you deploy them towards a front or whatever, but that's evidence against. And you have navies showing. Of course, we have an outliner on the right. Makes perfect sense. Looks very kind of paradoxian to me. We have navies, discontent. Now, discontent from peasants, Gascons, and Arpitans. So it looks like unrest can come from particular groups, and that's 9 flaming hearts, is that? I'm not quite sure. Let me zoom in a bit here. But, and it looks like on the right, do we think that's the thing they're most angry about? Peasants are short on food, the Gascons lack culture, the Arpitans feel like they're being underrepresented? I don't know. That's a tricky one, but we're beginning to speculate here. And then goods deficits. So food, wine, metal, spices, and dyes. There are large deficits. And food, red triangle. So I'm imagining that means it's some kind of critical level of deficit that's been reached for food. But that's interesting. In the top left, we have, I'm guessing, population, army size, country we're currently playing. Prestige? 294. A crown, going down by 5.2 per year, month. Probably prestige, I would guess. And then 1.68 million, that's got to be population. And we can also see the monthly change in each of them shown. That's interesting. Okay. And then on the left, we've got a whole bunch of menus. Decisions, stability, army. It looks like a mouse on a string. Is that like controls? I don't know. Hereditary, like family tree, target. Scheming? They have talked about scheming. Then the next one could also be decisions, then encyclopedia and probably finder. Obviously, all of these are just guesses, but let's see what we can learn from the next screenshot. Similar here, no navies, armies, playing Hindustan, big population obviously, lower prestige and dropping. Looks like some kind of demand coming in on this. It's still 1st of January. Do we think that's a demand? Like a Because a sword coming in like that, it seems like they may be requesting land or something. And if we look here at the discontent, we can see there's a lot more groups here, which makes me think they're not just classes. Maybe it's class and cultures. Maybe it's cultures in each region. I don't know. But lots of exciting things there. And then next, Cyprus. And, okay, here we start getting into it. Okay, so the Sunni discontent. Okay, so maybe there's religious-specific discontent as well. Different groups that rise up against you. And the Sunni don't like us because, they're Sunni and we're not. The Orthodox don't like us because they're Orthodox and we're not. And the peasants, as ever, are short on food. Now, we've got a new icon here. Cancelling. It looks like the Mamluks are cancelling our printing paper. What is that icon? Probably trade. Maybe those are boxes. Yeah, that's possible. And then over here, we can see that we're viewing not Nicosia, but Cyprus, and there's a choice. Okay, so Nicosia is the tile we have selected. We can see there's one little tile, and Cyprus is the region or the country, multiple tiles. Not sure, but... And then the top left, we've got 8 fort level, 2 walls. I'm not really sure what that would be. On the right, we can see that it's sunny, it's hilly, so there's climate and terrain. And then forest, 3.4 out of 7.1 thousand. What would that be? Forest. It's the same icon that's being used down here to show a goods deficit, so maybe that's woodland. It's weird that would be shown on the national level though, because it's the only resource that seems to be being shown here. Then we've got garrison, which is at 90%, or 1.8 out of 2k, makes sense. The defense level is average. I wonder what affects that. Tech, investment. The administration is at 50%. Maybe that's needed bureaucrats or something? Not sure. Literacy is at 15%, okay. Pop growth is going up. We got a couple of numbers about how it's going up. And then we can see a breakdown of the population and the buildings. So the population is broken down between nomads, slaves, peasants, commoners. I wonder if those are always the groups? Surely not. I mean, where's my nobility? Maybe nobility is too small a group to show up as population? Seems unlikely, though. And then we can see the religious breakdown. We can see we've got a bunch of Catholics and some Orthodox and Sunnis. Social class is broken down between 2 different groups there, yellow and blue. I wonder what that means. Commoners and peasants, they're the only 2 groups I see here, so those numbers don't look right for it to be commoners and peasants though, because commoners make up fully a quarter of the population, whereas in that little pie chart is not quite right. And then gender, it's 50-50. I'm not sure we need a pie chart for gender. Nest and ours. I think we know it's going to be 50-50 all the time. Although, maybe not. Maybe if we wage a whole bunch of wars, we're going to end up with a man deficit. That would be interesting. No disease, and there's some good deficits. Food and, I'm guessing, lumber deficits showing there. No nomads, no slaves. The fact that those are showing empty implies to me that those are the only 4 groups. Because if there were more groups and they dynamically showed or didn't based on, who's present, why would there be an empty nomads and slaves? But nomads, slaves, peasants, commoners, that's a very strange selection of 4. I mean, peasants and commoners, there's so many ways to drill down into that, which I would expect to see here. So, we'll see. And then we've got buildings, which unfortunately is not expanded, which is tragic. But we can see that we have an average wage of 0.12. Is that a coin or a box? Yeah, no, that's a coin. Okay, 1.2 coins and 21.9 thousand is the total wages being paid here, I'm guessing. 91% utilization. So I'm guessing buildings can have a certain amount of kind of work done in them. And at the moment, we don't have enough people, or the wages aren't high enough to attract people. It's producing 38.1 thousand gold. That's interesting that the buildings are producing money, right? Rather than, so we're not taxing the people. We're actually just generating money. But maybe that's just an abstraction of the amount of money being made, and then we're going to tax people? Or maybe that's just the amount of money we're taxing in tariffs on goods produced? Who knows? Trade, import, I'm guessing, arrow into a circle, 36%. So 36% of the goods being used by our buildings are imported from abroad? Maybe? And then there's profitability, which has gone up by 9%, and an ownership breakdown. So looks like confirmed, similar to 3.0, ownership over buildings by a whole bunch of different groups there. I'm assuming state and then all of the kind of, elites. I don't know if they're called elites in this, but interesting. Next one. Okay, and here we see them. There are the hexagons. We can see that... what map mode are we on? This is the population map mode. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Looking at the map. So we've got population in Japan centered around the southern capital. And, where you'd expect to see it over in China and Korea. And, basically no one in Taiwan. Weirdly shaped Taiwan. Is Taiwan that shape? Isn't it kind of more bulbous on the right? Anyway, we have, again, looks like a demand from the Ashigana Shogunate, if I remember my flags correctly, but maybe not. Low prestige, 3 million population. Oh no, hang on. If the thing on the right is... The thing on the left is population, so what's the thing on the right? Maybe that's money? Maybe that's score. Maybe there's a score. That seems incongruous with a lot of the design philosophy, though. And here we can see that slaves specifically are discontent because they're slaves. I guess that's what that icon means. Okay, and I'm just trying to work out what the icon on the right could be. Oh, sorry, the crown. Maybe that's legitimacy. The legitimacy of between having a value range of 45 to 200 seems unlikely. But then what would the number on the right be? Could be goods. Could be something to do with trade. I don't know. And then we have an army. Yamato hosts 5,000 of them. No navies. And we've got a couple new goods we can learn from this page. Silk. We have a silk deficit. Interesting. Big wood deficit as well. Interesting that we have national goods deficits. So it's not like it's not kind of broken down into sectors, or I don't think it is like MNT 3.0 so far. And then here we have the religious map of the place. Again, we're playing who? Naples, and someone's breaking their alliance with me. I don't recognize that flag. Again, with the icons, higher crown. Seems unlikely that Naples would have so much higher prestige than France. So maybe it's not. Maybe it is some kind of legitimacy. Maybe it's a value between 0 and 1,000. Interesting. And then on the right, anything new to learn here? Sicilians are mad at us. Dyes, silk, spices, all kind of similar stuff. I'm not seeing religion being granular in the provinces so far. You'd think that would be the kind of thing they might represent with shading or hatching, but I could just be reading too much into it. And obviously we've got the Sami religion up in the north, Rumava still present, Orthodox, Sunni, Tengri all battling it out over there in the southeast. I think that's all we can learn from here. Yeah, I think that is it. And then, right, some islands out here. Did the Azores look a bit weird? That's not quite how those are laid out, but maybe it's because I'm just not used to seeing a 3D map. Maybe if I looked at them from end on, it would look better. But there we go. That is most of what we know so far. Do read the dev diary for yourself. And if you're technically minded, you can read their Unity data-oriented tech stack article yourself as well. If you want to know more, you should subscribe to their YouTube channel. You should, which I should do, in fact, you should head over to r/Grey Eminence and subscribe there so you can get up to date on there. If you like Facebook, then you can like them over there, which I will do as well. So you can get notifications over there, and you can check out their Twitter and learn things there. Now, let's take a look at the Patreon. So, developing games, it's expensive. Yes, the trust and safety page unlaunched your page. No, I unlaunched my page, but I can't ever make this pop-up go away, which is very annoying. Anyway, developing games, it's expensive. The team are salaried. They're referred to as employees on the Discord. I don't know if they're formally employees, but whatever. And they need money. You need money to make games. So, in my opinion, and I have no horse in this race, but in my opinion, you should become a Patreon. I'm going to. Pretty much as soon as I finished recording this. You can give £4, £11.50, £38.50, or £77 per month. 70. I mean, these get high, but hey, some of us have lots of disposable income and really want to see games like this work out. So let's take a look at the benefits. One thing that's worth noting If you are a £4 patron for 12 months, you get a copy of the game. If you're an £11.50 patron for 4 months, you get a copy of the game. And if you're a duke or a king for 1 month, you get a copy of the game. So if you wanted to support, just as a baron, it's not like you're just doing a support. You are also actually going to get a copy of the game, which is nice. You get Discord roles, patron-only Discords for discussing unannounced features. You get in the credits. You get your release. You get priority during Q&A dev sessions. Cool. And then count is basically the same, but you get Grey Eminence sooner, and of course, you're helping out more and contributing towards the project more. If you are a duke, you get 1 unannounced benefit. Mysterious. It's a loot box benefit. I don't know what that is. And if you're a king, you get 2 unannounced rewards. Double the loot boxes. I don't know what those are. Otherwise, more or less the same. So, if you can afford it, this looks like an incredible project. I encourage you to support them on Patreon. If you can't, obviously, no worries. But it would be awesome if we could see this project succeed. And I will be signing up to their Patreon just after this video. Let's take it out with the trailer again, because I love it. I will make more content when they release dev diaries. I will do videos on those. I will try and learn all I can. I might do videos summarizing the dev Q&A sessions. I'm very excited about this new project from some members of the M&T team, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where they go with it. Let's enjoy the trailer together, and then I will bid you adieu.
Behold, the world of our ancestors. A land engulfed in perpetual conflict. Yet, it needn't be that way. Look beyond the world that was, and into the world that could be. Steer its destiny. Become the Grey Eminence.